Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 11 on the Haunted Hollows series. We were just informed that we have a bad tide approaching in 3 days. Thankfully we are prepared for that, so we're not going to have to worry too much about it. And in the last episode we focused on getting this platform set up right here. We now have some more water storage in this large water tank. And then we also have a tubeway station in order to get access to this area. And now we're focusing on getting some more platforms constructed. The goal is to make an area that we can put some impermeable floors on and then eventually fill this with water. We will need to get some levees set up so that we have a boundary, but first we're going to get started by getting these overhangs set up. We do need to rearrange the paths just a little bit. If we remove all these pieces of kohlrabi from being planted and then shift the path over one, we'll be able to place down these overhangs and everything will mesh up really well. We also removed some trees from being planted. That is because I wanted to plant down some oaks instead, so we need to keep filling in the gaps as those trees are growing up and they're getting chopped down. I am a little concerned about our wood supply. We're down to 170 at the moment. We had about 800 last episode, so obviously a lot of wood has been going into refilling our plank stores since we've made so many overhangs that require a decent amount of wood and planks. But I want to make sure that we have access to good wood in the future. We have some over here, although it seems like they've chopped down most of the trees that grew up. So we're just waiting on our tree farms to replenish our wood stores. And in the meantime, I'm looking across the valley and there are a lot of oak trees over here, but the problem is getting access to them. In my mind, we have three options. One of them, which would be probably the easiest but take maybe the longest, would just be get some paths over here and then make like a spiral staircase going all the way down. But that'd be pretty inefficient for getting access to this wood because the beavers would have to walk all the way over here. Another one would be getting some tubeway set up. I think we have a good spot right here. We went up already, and if we just go across and then underneath part of this, we could get across this Badwater River and then just go straight down, at which point we could either set up another tube station or we could continue to tube over here and then we set up a tube station. And then our third option is probably one of the most direct ones. If we go down in elevation through here, you can see it's actually not that long of a distance to get over here in order to get to these trees. So if we unlock the tunnel, it's only 2,000 science. It does require some planks, but we would be able to reuse them. And we could actually tunnel across through here, and then we'd have access to these trees. Now I'm leaning towards this tunnel option, but one of the main downsides is it does require planks up front. And as you can see, we actually have no planks right now. And then something else that I do need to do in today's episode is get some sort of tube station over here, because right now the beavers have to walk all the way across the map in order to access the water, and it's not very efficient considering we have tubes right over here. And if we just get a few pieces of dynamite placed here, we can replace these blocks right here with some overhangs, and they'll have them extend in this direction, and we can get a tube station set up, and it won't actually be that big of an investment in order to get the tubes over here. In fact, we could even utilize the metal platform, and that'll make it super easy to get this connected in. And then with one more overhang, we only need 4 pieces of tubeway in order to connect into this existing facility. And as long as I remember to place down a path, this actually might be one of the more important tubeways that we set up. And since we're running so short on wood right now, I think that it's worth removing these inventors' huts. We don't really need them, we have plenty of other jobs. So let's start by getting rid of all 6 of them. We'll get back some wood, which is essential, and then we'll make sure we'll high prioritize collecting this. And since we have some unemployed beavers, we can toss some of them into these farmhouses up here, and then we can also add one to the forester. I think that we should increase the amount of trees that we have planted. We don't have that many planted at the moment. And then we can also look at lowering some of this area. That way we can actually expand how many trees we can plant at the same elevation. And then we do need to pause all these water pumpers, which is part of the reason why I want to get this additional water reservoir set up. That way I don't need to worry about pausing them during a drought or bad tide, and it should give us a little bit more of a constant water supply. So now that we have all the inventor sets removed from here, let's go down through the map and see at what elevation we want to get across. We want to make this as direct as possible and use as few planks as we need. So right here is the logical place that we can go through. Let's unlock the tunnel for 2,000 science and then start going all the way over here. And then all of a sudden we have 134 planks. That is kind of nuts. It's probably because we finished building all these overhangs. I haven't placed any more down in this area, but it might be good if we maybe pause one of these lumber mills, because I did unpause 2 of them in the last episode, since our wood is dropping quite a bit. So we'll let hopefully our wood rebound a little bit, get our plank stores up as well, and then as soon as we get access to these trees, we'll add in some lumberjack flags. And then having access to this area could actually be pretty important. We currently do have bad water flowing past here, but if we set some stuff up in order to mitigate the bad water effects, this could be a great spot to irrigate and then use for some more tree farms. It looks like there's a little bit of a pool section over here, so getting some sluices set up after we remove these blockages, and then maybe add some dams to increase the water elevation right around here, could be a great way to take advantage of this irrigation zone. And the beavers have officially broken ground on tunneling through here, so we'll let them get all that sorted out and we'll check back in periodically. And oh my gosh, we have 16 unemployed beavers. I know we have an additional hauling post that we can add some jobs to. We should also check the jobs list, make sure we have maxed out on all of these. We could always turn the mine back on. We get a lot of injured beavers, which is why I've had it paused, but since we have so many, it might be worth doing that. We can turn on this lumberjack flag and this one as well. Oh, we had the bad tide end that quickly. I guess it was only 2 days. So we can turn the water pumpers back on, and now we are not short on jobs. Although I do see we have some builders who are sitting around. We can preemptively add in a few lumberjack flags over here, and then make sure we mark all these trees to be chopped down. Plus we can also start removing some of these blockages, and then we can also add in some sluices as well. And then we can also get a forester set up over here. Since we clearly have a lot of area that we could plant some trees, some of them have died off because of the bad tides rolling through, and the beavers have gotten all the way through here, so we can connect that path in and then also remove all of these platforms and give us some resources back, which will be excellent. We're actually doing fantastic on planks now. We have 350, so we can slow down just a little bit. We'll pause another one of these lumber mills since our wood stores are pretty similar to what they were before, but now we are going to have some more lumberjacks. And then I am working on constructing some levees and some sluices, and then as soon as they remove some of these blockages and get this constructed, that should allow some water to go into here and then fill this little pool up, which will give us a nice permanent irrigation area. And we are actually desperately low on scrap metal. We only have 2 pieces of scrap metal to collect over here. We do have the mine that could work, and then we also have some scrap metal over here. A can that I have been kicking down the road is getting bots set up, and I think I probably do need to start working on that. But before we do that, we need to make sure we have enough metal blocks and scrap metal so we can shift some of the beavers out of these jobs. And since I don't want to have a lot of injured beavers right off the bat, we're going to go over here and collect some of the scrap metal first. And we are going to need a lot of treated planks. We have 330 at the moment. We are maxed out on pine resin, but I want to make sure we have enough pine resin stores for the future because it takes quite a while to ramp up production for pine resin. We have our little dam constructed over here, and as you can see, the beavers are removing these last blockages. And hallelujah, we got some water flowing over here. This is going to be excellent for us moving forward. And then I do need to actually make sure this guy can plant some stuff. We'll make sure he replenishes the trees in the back for now, since it seems like this area is pretty safe from bad tides. Although the ones at the front could end up feeling the bad water effects, I'm not 100% sure how long it takes before the bad water can spread basically all the way back here. Hopefully having the water will help mitigate that. I think it just has to do with the contamination levels of the bad water that's flowing through here. After 2 days, I'm pretty sure that it's 100% bad water. I'm going to use the stream gauge and we can see how contaminated the water is going through here. We can also see what the flow is, which will be interesting. And oh my goodness, we have so many planks, 550. We're actually getting kind of close to maxing out. We can take advantage of the large amount of planks we have stored up and start filling in this level with platforms. Then we can get a few more piles set up over here. We'll obviously make at least one of them set to planks, maybe even 2 for now. We can also have this forester plant some trees on this other side. I don't remember exactly how far the bad water effects spread, but if we go around this back side, then I think we should be safe. Since he's not really doing anything, it's not the worst if we have some trees that end up dying, even though it obviously is not preferred. We also have some trees up here that have grown up, and then I'm slowly planting down some dynamite, but we do need to get some lumberjacks set up. If I add in a few platforms, then we can get some lumberjack flags placed down, and then also be able to utilize as much of the green space as we can. And since we do have some scrap metal access now, we are going up in scrap metal stores, but more importantly, our metal blocks are going up. So now's the time to take advantage of that and get the bot set up. We have plenty of space up here. We have a power connection, which is essential. And then we have enough sign so we can get both of these buildings constructed. Plus we can get the charging stations up and running. Unfortunately, it is a high chance of injury, which that's just one of the costs that it takes. We can get 2 of those placed down right here. And then we can fit a 3rd one right next to it. Although maybe we do a little bit of rearranging, because it would be nice to have a tube station that comes somewhere over here. Well, they already constructed it, so I guess we're not moving that one. I was thinking maybe somewhere over here, but I'm going to pause this real quick. And I think that I want to remove this one, which as you can see, we have all the metal blocks, all the gears, and then almost all the planks placed down. If I remove this, we'll get all the resources back, which is excellent. And I think this spot is a little bit easier in order for us to connect in another tube station. Now I don't actually know if this will work if we just have the power shafts connected in. It looks like it will, so we can unpause and we'll see how this goes. Either way, we do need to add in a 3rd bot part factory, and then I'll get both the bot assemblers placed over here instead. And then we can have this set to bot chassis, and then we need to make sure we have it connected to the district center. And then we're going to utilize tunnels in order to get some of the tubes over here without interrupting the paths. And it does look like this building transfers power directly to these ones, which is fantastic, even though the building itself doesn't need power. And then we also have this whole area set up. Now we can get some tubes placed down. We need a vertical tubeway at the end, but then we can use the normal tubes for the rest of them. Well, we're going to remove that and then temporarily remove this one, which is not fantastic. And then we can place down one single piece of dynamite. And then as long as we get another vertical tubeway set up right here, we can connect in from the bottom. And in fact, we don't even need a vertical tubeway right here. This one can still be a single. And it's going to take the beavers a lot longer to get up here, since they have to go all the way around. Although I guess they can go up this way. It's not quite as efficient, but it still works. And now we have a lot of wood. We're up to 630, but we are running a little bit low on planks. So we're going to unpause both of these lumber mills now. And then we do have 10 vacant jobs. So I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging. Looks like this one, we already have fewer beavers in here. And of course, I forgot to mark these trees to be chopped down. And then we do have some space on this backside. We have 2 tiles width, which we don't necessarily need both of them. I would like to get some gravity batteries set up. Those are only 400 science. It does require some gears and planks, which we are running a little bit short on, but I think unlocking it makes sense. And then I'll want to get them as high as we can. We'll probably end up putting maybe some double or triple platforms down, and then we can have them go all along this edge, and it should be a decent amount of power that we can store. And then I'll also want to add in some more water wheels, since our power demand is going to definitely be increasing over the next few episodes. We actually currently don't have enough power, so everything's running a little bit inefficiently, but if we turn on these steam engines, that should take care of that. So we can start out a little simple. We have 3 of these gravity batteries that are set up now, and we have them fairly high up, plus we have it so it connects into this bot assembler, and those should help us through the ebbs and flows of our daily and nightly power demands. We do need to get some charging stations set up as well. If we just place them on top of this building, that will be enough to connect it in, plus it'll be fairly close to where they're produced. But we need to make sure that they're working somewhere close by in order to take advantage of the chargers being right here. And I doubled up on bot chassis in both of these buildings, which is not what I intended. We need some bot limbs, and we are desperately low on planks once again. So as soon as we have bots constructed, we're definitely going to start tossing them in the lumber mills. And on the bright side, we do have a lot of trees over here, and the beavers have only chopped down some of the ones at the front. They haven't even gone to any of these at the back. We do need to set up the sluices, or at least one sluice, and then we can get a levee placed down right next to it. We'll have this close above a certain contamination point. We'll go down to 3%, and then we have these sluices set to close below contamination of 2%. So if the water's clean, we want this to be open and allow the water to back up a little bit. But as soon as it senses any contamination, it will open up, which should prevent us from needing the sluice right here, but it is a good second safety mechanism. And we actually have 13 homeless beavers. I did not even notice that. We do need to get some more houses set up. If we want to keep going vertical, we have a few options. We can get some overhangs on top of these. Unfortunately, that requires platforms, which require planks, and we are short on planks right now. And we have another bad tide approaching in 3 days. I think until we can get access to some more platforms and planks and construct these, we'll just get a temporary housing unit set up over here. since we have a good amount of logs and that's all it takes for the large barracks. And honestly, we can pause one of these bot assemblers for now. Since we have all 3 of these gravity batteries up and running, we can actually pause one of the steam engines, maybe even multiple, and then we'll keep an eye on how much this drops during the day, and then if it gets maxed out during the nighttime, then we can pause even more of these steam engines. And we did start the episode out working on getting these platforms and overhang set up, but we quickly pivoted into some other projects. We have wood sorted out, it seems, so we're good there. And right now it's just a plank shortage, but I'm guessing in a few days that should sort itself out since we don't have a whole lot that we're now trying to construct with all these planks. And then we are going to get to see how these sluices work during a bad tide, and then we'll see if any of these trees end up dying. So we have the next round of housing set up right here, and then I also managed to squeeze in 3 of these rooftop terraces, but of course all this takes planks and we are still running short on those. I do have another tube station set up right here, and that'll make it so we have access to this area super easily. And I'm also noticing we do have a bot now, so let's see if we can throw him. I guess we only have 1, but tossing him into the lumber mill will be essential, and then when they make the next bot, he will hop into there as well. We do have a bunch of these charging stations that we're working on. We can actually pause those for now. Plus we can pause at least another one of these charging stations that's constructed, since we only have 1 bot right now. And it looks like he's actually charging at the moment, but bot limbs are definitely what we're short on right now. We have 4 bot chassis, so maybe we'll switch this to bot limbs temporarily. And the bedhead has started. It is 3 days long, 1 day longer than the previous one. But as you can see, the water is turning red, and the contamination is very quickly rising. And I don't know if you noticed it, but the bad water did change the sluice. So now this is set to open because the contamination went above a certain level. This one is still open, but there's not any contamination or water at the elevation. So these ones are doing their jobs. And then the contamination is only at 51% right now. We have 2 sources of bad water. I'm guessing this is going to continue to rise. Looks like 52. It's probably going to go a bit slowly. Since we do have so much wood, we could start building the walls around here. And now that I'm looking at it, we might have constructed some extra overhangs, because if we pause it real quick and then start building the levees up, I don't think we can go underneath. We'll actually have to go on the side instead, which means we don't necessarily need to have this on the outside. But I guess we already do have them constructed, so we could leave them. We wouldn't be able to save on a whole lot, since some of them are essential in basically expanding over areas that we do not have overhangs. And if we just place down 1 more overhang, we are short on planks, but they'll construct this as they can, and then we'll have some more levees placed on top. And this is 1 tile in elevation higher than the water right here. Ooh, but I also forgot to pause the water pumpers. Let's do that real quick. But this is a good start to getting the extra reservoir set up. We have 66 metal blocks at the moment. One thing I will need to do is place the impermeable floors down. Thankfully those only cost 1 metal block each, but we are going to have to cover this entire floor with impermeable barriers. I will also need to either move this staircase or basically build some levees right around it. And then we do have a lot of unemployed beavers now, so I think it's worth tossing them into this mine. We can bump that all the way up to 10, and that should help bump our scrap metal stores up because we're still hovering around 30 at the moment. And just like that, we have a bunch of planks. We have 117. Looks like we are almost done with the night, and these gravity batteries are charging up really well. I'm guessing we're going to barely hit the 34,000 mark. So that means we don't necessarily need to have all these engines running, because now we're just basically spitting out extra power that we're not getting back anywhere. So we can pause one of these, and we'll see tomorrow if these gravity batteries do fully charge up. It looks like we had a few of the trees die off. The contamination is now at 100%. So I think that's as far as the bad water effect should spread. So we can remove all of these trees, so I know in the future not to plant anything here. And then it looks like our range of planting trees is just fine over here. We can add in a couple more trees since the contamination doesn't spread to these very few tiles that were unmarked. But since we do plan on setting up shop permanently over here, I think it's time to get some tube stations and some tubeways over here. Thankfully we have a path right along here, and as long as we can figure out how to connect a tube in right next to it, that should be pretty easy to do. And I think our best option will be to temporarily remove this, but this will be the last one that we remove, and then go down and across. So we can tunnel underneath this lumber mill, and then we'll pop up here and have it run right next to this path. And the bad tide has ended, and we can see that at the end of the next night, we have not charged up our gravity battery quite enough. So I think we'll need to keep one of these engines turned on permanently, which is totally fine. And then maybe in the next episode we add in some more water wheels to add to our power supply. And then I do have a bunch of dynamite placed down, plus we have some tunnels that are running right next to our existing path. And that is when we can connect in the tube stations, but that is going to wait until the next episode. We do have some bots that are up and running now, specifically one. And right now we're going to actually have another one constructed, which is cool. So now we have two, and they both should be in this industrial lumber mill, helping to get our plank stores up, which we have recovered. We're up to 200 now. Logs are in a great spot. We have 600. We are slowly increasing how many of these levees we've placed down. I think in the next episode we can focus more heavily on getting these overhangs set up, since we have a good amount of planks, and then we also are going to keep getting bots, and that should help increase how many planks we can produce, since they can work during the nighttime. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out some of the live streams. Typically I stream on Saturdays. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.